if second time is a charm. Looks like the stream's up anyway. So everything cut out there for everybody. Everyone got kicked out of the lobby. So we're going to have a 60-minute race. There we are. So yeah, 60-minute race on the cards. Really good news for people who were multiple laps down, to be honest. Big winners from this are going to be Peter. Obviously, he's gained all that time back. The big loser, obviously, Morrow there. He had a nice cushion in P4, and he's going to have to battle people from the start again. Also, the guys all the way at the back. I saw Paris was right at the back. I think Cabras was as well. Davey, this is a good opportunity for Davey. Andy will be very annoyed because he had such a nice, comfortable cushion in the lead of the race, trying to get a race win here. And I don't even think he's been on the podium this season. So this would be a huge result if he can do it all again, essentially. Obviously started on pole and led from the front, but he had Morrow in front of him last at the start of the first part of this race. And now, who is it going to be behind him? I think it's Davey who's behind him at the moment. So Davey might be able to pounce on him at the start, depending on who gets the better start. Friedman made his way up into 10th by the time the lobby crashed. I did offer for him to reset his last to first challenge, but I don't think he's going to do that. Wet to dry, do you think? The track temperature is slightly warmer by 1 degree. No, that's the air temperature, slightly warmer by 1 degree. The track temperature is 3 degrees warmer, and we've only got half the wind this time around. So it should be, emphasis on should, a little bit easier this go around. We're going to be doing a 60-minute race, so this is basically... That was basically a really long qualifying session for just a normal race, but we're still doing the double points. So... Right, let's just see if there's any last messages that I need to read before we get started. Let's see if the grid gets set correctly. This is all a very last minute thing. Basically, the way that we've had to set the grid is by... We had a screenshot of the top 21. We could see 22 there as well. And then the rest, I had to go like up to 4 minutes back on the stream to the last time I actually went that far down on the grid. So, we do, just to recap what the starting order is going to be. It's going to be Winters, Weatherston, Van Hoften, Morrow, Spectre, Regnix, Mate, Scanlon, Cabras, that's Freddie Cabras, and Friedman in the top 10. Then we've got Forza, Weston, Capel, Peter down in 14th now, Fitra, Steenstra, Dandes, Oliver, Fracas, and Popov, that's Rotokods in 20th. Then we've got Omoda 21st, and then I think we're going for Maura 22nd, then Tierney, Druid, Bayliss, Kane, O'Leary, Blocker, Alex, Paris, and Cabras rounding off the field. I wonder if any of them have actually given up in the pits and now they're going to be on track again. I don't know. We do have 33 drivers in, so every single person has come back. Love to see it. Very committed, guys. We're just waiting for people to just finish an outlap, essentially, because we are starting as soon as everyone returns to the garage. And then you'll see them in their correct positions very shortly. We're waiting for Cabras. He needs to re-familiarise himself with the track. We saw him go off into the barrier right at the beginning of the race. So yeah, he's another big beneficiary of this red flag. Let's call it a red flag. It's basically red flag conditions. Something happened. It wasn't a crash. It was ACC. Yeah, the lobbies in ACC aren't that great, unfortunately. Sometimes. Whoa! That is a mistake you want to be doing right now and not in about 20 seconds time. And that's it. We should be starting any second now. Nope, it's going to make us run down the timer even though no one's on track. Here we go. Here is your grid order. Oh, Mod is starting last, actually. I don't know why. I'm sure he... No, he was 21st. Why is he last? Maybe he's asked for it. He didn't fancy starting 21st. Looks like everyone else is in position. Friedman is going to be starting in P10. So, this is great for Friedman. Friedman potentially winning this race now. He was carving his way through the pack pretty well, but being pretty patient and losing a lot of time whilst doing it. Mate improved up to 7th in that first stint. It's a really solid one. He's got an hour left to keep that focus up. Spectre was on for a very comfortable P5. He had a huge gap to Regnix. I think it was like 6 seconds plus before that. So, yeah, Reg could find a bit more form now. Obviously, we've got to think about setups here. We don't know if people will be making adjustments. Obviously, some people might think, oh, my tyre pressure was not suitable for that race, and now they can make the adjustments. It is raining quite heavy, and the forecast is to continue for the next half an hour, so that's the next half of the race. It could be dry for the second half, but we won't know that until that little weather icon starts updating on the top right next to the stop clock. So 1 minute left before we start another, unfortunately, we're going to be doing another formation lap. Actually, whilst they do that, I will be back in 1 moment.
Seconds. 20 seconds. Seconds.
Jesus, I was expecting them to be a bit more round the track than that. Anyway, just as a reminder, our championship contenders today are Morrow, who is in P4, Van Hoften nearly losing it, and his rival Peter has had a torrid first 20 or so minutes, and he is down in 14th. He was in the top 8 at one point, and yeah, hasn't had the best of times. Luckily for some of these guys, they were driving around with damage, and obviously the damage is... I think that's Fitterer, just going past everybody for some reason. A little bit further down, let's see what the situation is in Silver. So Cabras is a solid P9 at the moment in Silver. Huge lead over Fitterer, who we saw in the wars, but he's still second out of Silver class. Dan Paris was doing, well, he qualified really well, but he's down at the back outside the top 30. Well, Dandis is class leader, but he's only 2 positions ahead of Black. Popov actually third on debut, as it stands in class. So that's really solid. We might see a completely different kind of race here, though. Chances for redemption. Some people who were doing incredibly well, I think, are going to run into some sort of trouble. It's only, well, it's the law of probabilities, isn't it? Law of averages. It's going to happen to someone. And he'll be hoping it doesn't happen to him. He did have the pace of the field, for sure. I can't remember who had the fastest lap, actually, if it was him or Friedman. Let's have a quick check. Oh, no, Van Hoften actually had the fastest lap. So, another one to potentially look out for. He was going really quick through Maggots and Beckett's, maybe too quick. We've got two drivers, actually, in the pit lane, number 69 and number 36. So let's see who that is, who didn't enter quick enough. It is going to be Major and Maurer. So they already dropping outside the top 30, so that's good news for everyone who was behind them. They get 2 free positions. Obviously, they're going to have a bit of a wait before they're allowed to go as well. So we've got Ferrari, Honda, Bentley, top 3. We've got 2 Ferraris, 2 McLarens, an Aston, a Porsche, and another Ferrari. 4 of the top 10 Ferrari powered. Seems to be the top car in these kind of conditions. A little bit like GT, the Ferrari is the best in the wet. Why is the race delayed by 50 minutes? We were 20 odd minutes into the last one in the lobby crash, so we're just getting going now with the final hour of the race. It's going to be double points. It's the final round of the season, so it's the longer race. Let's hope we actually make it to the end this time. Now, I would say here we go, but we know that we've got a long way before we start. Even though this is the start-finish rate, right here, everyone has to be nice and bunched up. We're going to see Andy past the start-finish point, almost down at Copse already, before the race starts. So once again, this is going to benefit Andy with the very, very short run from P1 down to turn 1. Here we go. Any moment now. The final race, once again, is green. And it looked like a much better start there from Davey. Davey's going to swoop into the lead. He absolutely timed that perfectly. Andy down in P2. He's still ahead of Van Hoften and Morrow, who are going side by side. Morrow wants that P3 back off Van Hoften. He's going to have to slide in behind, though. Maybe come under a little bit of pressure of Spectre. No, he's not, because Spectre himself struggling a little bit through Maggots there as we go through Beckett's now. Mate really close behind him as well. So it's pretty solid start from the top guys. Everyone looks like they're making it through. Looks like a purple car back there in some trouble. Friedman is... I'm trying to find out. Well, I can't quite see. Everyone coming down the straight there. Capel just ahead of Weston with Forster ahead of him. So Friedman's actually dropped down to 11th. So not a good restart for Friedman. He's dropped behind Scanlon and Cabras there, up into 8th as well, so decent start for our silver race leader. Mate actually up into P6. Everyone's very, very close together here. Morrow having a little look at Van Hoften not being able to do anything at the moment. Andy actually retook the lead somewhere, so sorry for missing that. Andy's got a lead over Davey. He must have done it right at the end of the second sector, because the gap between them was absolutely nothing. So Davey not doing well there. He's also lost a second to Andy in that sector, as well as getting overtaken. So it was looking really good for Davey. Got a great restart, and it's not looking too good. Looks like Mate has gone very wide there, going very defensive, and he is behind Regnix now. He's lost that position, so maybe lost a bit of traction on the exit. That's why he went so wide. Managed to save it though, but lose the single position to Reg, as we are going to finish our first lap of the restart. Andy in the lead. Let's see what that gap is. It doesn't look too big. The gap is 1.1, so still a little bit quicker. Van Hoften, Morrow, and Spectre all very close behind. So this top 5 already gapping Regnick's a little bit, who's down in 6th. Just like how we saw in the first race as well. So it's going pretty good for this top 5, including Morrow, who is, as it stands, our champion of Season 4. Yeah, it's just, I think the points are literally just doubled. I'm not too sure. Points for the top 30 only, yeah. Okay, here comes Van Hoften on Weatherston. Weatherston going very defensive here. So the first time, Davies' position is under threat from behind, and oh, they are making it through. Davey looks like he's hanging it around the outside. It's going to become the inside for the next corner, and Van Hoften can't do enough there to get a move done. Morrow is lurking in the background. Spectre's lurking in the background as well. This is great news for Andy. He's well on his way to re-establishing that lead he had at the start of the race. Yeah, Weatherston under a lot of pressure here. Not looking as comfortable at the start of this race as he was at the start of the last one. And it looks like Van Hoften's going to try and move around the outside. He's never going to make that work. I don't know why we keep getting flashes to the pit garage. It's not what we need to see right now. And a little bit deep there from Van Hoften, and Morrow might swoop through here. The doors be left slightly open. There is contact. Oh dear. This is a disaster for Morrow. Is Morrow going to let Van Hoften go past? He's losing multiple positions. I'm not sure what he's thinking right now. It looks like he's challenging Spectre actually, so he's going to carry on. Regnick gets past as well. Absolute disaster. Here comes Mate. I think he's letting everyone through. And what does this mean for the championship? Because where is Peter right now? Where is he actually? What's going on? He's actually done a very interesting and clever strategy here. He's come out just ahead of Andy Winters. He's not a lap down yet. He's made his mandatory pit stop. He does not want to waste any time battling other drivers. And this could be an incredibly clever play by Peter. Meanwhile, Morrow is currently... he's not P6 anymore. He's dropped a bunch of places now, I think. Van Hoften... where is Van Hoften? Van Hoften is ahead of him now and trying to make a move on Mate. Mate up into P5 now with all that. So Morrow absolutely accepting that was his fault for the contact. He's, as a result, lost 4 positions to allow Van Hoften back. So it's great sportsmanship there. Van Hoften a little bit laggy here, but he's trying to have a look at Mate. So we'll have to see. We'll have to see how this plays out. This is potentially huge for Peter. Let's go right on board with Peter for a little bit, see how he's tackling it. There's Andy, not too far away from lapping him. He needs to pick up the pace, because if he gets caught by Andy Winters, who has the pace on everyone, this could end up being a disaster for Peter, because yeah, he might have to pull aside for about 10 cars. We'll have to keep an eye on that gap on the minimap, guys. Let's see what's happening with everyone else. Van Hall's dropped. Maurer, we saw, was in the pits. Cabras working his way up into 29th at the moment. Where's Paris? Paris all the way up into the top 20, so he's had a great restart. He was outside the top 30, remember? What's happening at the front anyway? Andy Winters has a 2.4 second lead over Davey, who's got 1.6 on Spectre, who again is starting to gap Reg, but Reg himself has got a bit of a gap. It looks like Van Hoften's just got past Mate. Morrow queuing up behind to try and get a move done as well. We've got Scanlon as well behind, and Friedman, so a very fast group here headed by the 2 drivers who are newest to ACC. Looks like Scanlon having to go a little bit defensive there, lost that position to Friedman. Got cops wrong by the looks of things. So that's going to release Friedman to attack Morrow on this straight. Once again, Friedman having a go at one of the championship contenders. Here we go. Doesn't look like a move's going to get done here, but it looks like Forster and Capella are very close in position. Battle for P11 right here. And no move just yet. So let's go back up to Spectre. It looks like Reg is trying to catch him slowly but surely. This is all of a sudden the battle for P3. So this is huge. This is huge what's happened at the start of this race. We have the top two pretty much the same. Then we have Morrow having an absolutely horrendous start. He's down in 7th, and he's got the quickest driver in ALR probably chasing him down, at least on the ACC side. We've got Paris with the fastest lap, and we've got Peter. How's he doing? He's still a fair chunk ahead of Andy. He needs to start setting fastest laps though. He cannot afford to lose any time. Even Andy catching him will be a disaster. Maybe he didn't anticipate how long the pit stop would be. That's all I can think, really. Meanwhile, Friedman's still not able to get past Morrow, and the fact that these two are battling is giving DDK and Mate some breathing space to start making progress back up the grid. So everyone's still got to make the mandatory stop here, apart from Peter. Now, how much time is Morrow losing defending from Friedman? Friedman isn't the man he needs to be battling in this championship. It's Peter, and Peter's just got clear air, and as long as he stays ahead of Andy, which he is still a good chunk ahead of Andy, he's not losing any time at all. So yeah, basically, if Peter puts in a flawless performance, we might see something interesting at the end of this race. Here comes Friedman. And he's going to stick it on the inside. He's not got the grip. And that looks like Morrow is going to survive. Pretty good traction there on Morrow through there. Scanlon closing into the back of these two as well now. Very, very wide there for Friedman. I'm pretty sure that's a warning, isn't it? If you gain time. You have to gain time. So, Friedman made pretty easy work in those first 20 minutes going from last up into 10th. Now, this is the hard part because these guys, I mean, Morrow's got top pace. He's just out of position because he had that mistake and then waited for so long to let these guys past so that DDK could get past. But this might be Friedman's opportunity now. It looked like he had a really good exit from that corner. Morrow's already going defensive to the next corner. Now Friedman really late on the brakes potentially. No, he backs out of it. And Morrow keeps the position. Losing more time to Mate ahead of them though. Here we go. End of lap 5 for... Well, actually, it's only lap 4, sorry, for Morrow. No, it is for lap 5. Counting would be a good thing, wouldn't it? So let's go back to Peter, because I think we might be starting to see something really bad for Peter coming up soon. Here he comes onto the hangar straight. There's Andy Winters. He's going to be lapping him very soon. Let's see what happens with Peter these next few corners. Turn 1 looked fine, but I was focusing on the front more than the mid-pack, so I don't know if anything happened there. Now, if Peter is going to start getting lapped, he's probably going to get lapped by Andy. And potentially by Davey. They both look like they've got a bit better pace than him at the moment. And there is a way to get lapped without losing too much time. But yeah, he needs to find something. Or he needs Andy to make a mistake. That's what he needs. If Andy makes a mistake and then starts backing up Davey, that'd be perfect. But at the moment, this is looking a little bit dodgy for Peter and his championship hopes. He's in 33rd place out of 33. He is the championship leader at the moment. He's as it stands, losing that lead. But he has made his mandatory pit stop. We got number 83, that's Van Hall, off track at Beckett's. He's reset to pits as well, so that must have been quite a big accident for him. He's going to be multiple laps down now. Peter's going to overtake someone. Oh, really bad on the exit there. And he's going to lose a huge chunk of time. He's going to have to pull over soon. And this might be, this overtake here to become a lap down could be curtains for Peter's championship. And he's wide at Copse as well. This is quite sad to watch, but let's just wait and see until he's lapped, and then we'll go and find something a bit more enjoyable to watch. Really struggling through maggots there. And yeah, just well out of the way. And there's one, and there's Davey, and there's Spectre. There's going to be more cars coming to lap him. We might get lapped by Morrow fairly soon. Let's rejoin at the front. So we've got Reg just ahead of Van Hoften. Van Hoften obviously on his recovery after his contact with Morrow. He's worked his way back up into 5th. 4/10 of a second back off Regnix. Looks like he's got more speed than Reg at the moment. Then we got Mate still fairly on his own. Morrow still holding off Friedman all these laps later. The entire race he's been holding Friedman off. And this is quite an important battle actually for Morrow. Because if he decides I'm going to continue defending every position because I'm a racer, he could be forced into a big mistake that brings Paris back into the mix. Or he could just let Friedman go and think about the bigger picture. If it was me, I'd just be driving my racing line, not putting up too much of a fight when stuff like that happens. A really late dive from Friedman, and he gets the position fairly easily. Spooked Morrow out of the way, but this is good news for Morrow. This is good news for Morrow. He can just... Whoa! A little bit... I don't know. It looked like he went over a beaver or a speed bump or something. His car's shooting up into the sky temporarily. But down to P8 for Morrow. Not the end of the world, it's got to be said. Obviously he's got pace to be much higher up than this, but what's happened at the start of this race has happened. He's lost 4 positions since the start. Friedman's gained 3 up to P7 now, and he's going to be catching Mate fairly quickly by the looks of things as well. So let's ride on board with Mate in the Romania colours. Actually, before we do that, let's have a look at the battle for P4. Van Hoften looks the most comfortable around Maggots and Beckett's out of everyone I've seen. He seems to be carrying much more speed, and that's why he's right behind Regnix now. Regnix already, well, pretty much the move has already been done. He isn't on he's on the drier line, but he doesn't have the inside line, and it looks like Van Hoften might get that position as well. Regnix really holding it well on the exit. They're still side by side. Reg has the inside line for the corner, and Van Hoften brakes late, gives them space, and gets a great exit and gets the position there as well. Well, Mate joining this battle, but also it's Friedman right behind him, so it's yeah, and Morrow's actually dropping off of this pack as well. So Morrow not feeling comfortable as he was in race 1, that's for sure. Oh, a bit of a dodgy corner there from Reg. There's contact between the 3 of them as the cars concertina together. Nothing too bad. Friedman's going to try and do the exact same with Mate. Mate manages to make it around the corner, but Friedman's right there, and he's going to get that position fairly easily. Mate on the wet stuff. On the curb, on the exit, might actually get himself overtaken as well by Morrow here. Morrow looking at Friedman as well. What's he going to do? He's going to try and follow Friedman through, but Mate shuts the door. He's going to have to stay in P8 for now. as Friedman gets really out of shape in that final corner, as is Mate going very deep. That's opened the door for Morrow. Morrow's going to get this position from Mate, and that's going to be 2 positions lost in a row from Mate, unless he can out-drag the Ferrari. Wow, he actually did. The long way round actually had a bit more grip for Mate, and he keeps the position. So P7 for Mate, 8 laps in. The gap at the front is currently 2.3 seconds. Andy pretty much doing what he did in race 1 and controlling at the front with a comfortable gap. Where is Peter now? Let's see. Where is Peter? Peter is just about to be lapped by P3. He's going to have to lift and lose more time here. But after P3, what's the gap between P3 and 4? Oh dear, that was bad. The gap is 2.6 seconds between Spectre and Van Hoften. And Peter is slotted in that. He has to try and keep with Spectre because there's a huge group of cars about to overtake Peter now, including Morrow. And we're at the point of no return if he has to let any more cars through, basically. Which is looking fairly likely, I've got to say. There's Van Hoften, then we got Regnick's got one of those cars really far off the track there. I think that was Cabras, it was, yeah. So he's down in 10th. Morrow putting a bit more pressure on Mate here. Mate's leaving the door open. Morrow couldn't really bring enough speed into the corner to get alongside. Now this is where Friedman did the overtake. He's already 2 seconds ahead of Mate, and he's putting a bit of pressure now on Regnick, so he's almost in the top 5. Here he comes, late on the brakes. Reg gives him a bit too much space. I think he could have closed the door there. No fighting at all. It looks like there's a bit of fighting going on here between Mate and Morrow, and Scanlon as well, just behind. So here comes Morrow, end of lap 9. And he is slightly alongside. We're going into cops side by side, and the door is shut once again by Mate. Defending really well, actually goes incredibly wide there, so he's potentially losing that position. Looks like he's carried his speed enough into Maggots. And yeah, he's caught Morrow out a little bit there as well. Morrow losing a lot of speed through there, but it's not over yet. Through Beckett's we go. Strong exit really needed by Mate to keep the position. But glued to the back of it is Morrow. Morrow's got a great chance here. He really has to think about chucking it up the inside if he is going to make progress into the top 5 by the end, and he's gone for it. Mate's going to hold it around the outside. Actually, he can't. He doesn't have the traction for it, and easy overtake there for Morrow in the end. Finally, after a lot of battling, a really good battle there from Mate, just nothing he could do in the end. Now he's got to regain his composure because Scanlon is the next up to try and make a pass on him. Actually, Scanlon's gone a bit wide. He might come under pressure from Cabras himself. Let's just have a quick look further down through the grid. So we got Forster 11th, Capale is 12th, so he's dropped a few positions. Fitcher 13th, making some recovery. Oliver just ahead of Weston. Then we've got Paris on a great charge now on his second attempt. Steenstra down in 17th, disappointing for him. Then Dandes is bronze leader. Then we got Tierney and Fracas right at the back. Omod is just in the pits. I think he's had enough. Peter is a lap down, and he's let Friedman overtake him now as well. So there's another driver who's put a lap on him. And there's Regnick, who will be the next person. So yeah, not going good at all for Peter. I don't know. I don't know if this is going to come back to him, to be honest. Where is Morrow? Morrow's there, so he's 2 cars behind in the queue to lap, and this will be a huge moment if Morrow can actually put a lap on Peter. I know he's going to unlap himself when he comes into the pits eventually, but it's quite symbolic, really, of the way that Morrow's just completely steamrolled the second half of the season. You wouldn't think it at the moment, down in P7, but he really is. Van Hoften with the fastest lap again. in this race as well as the original one that we started. 37 minutes left now, so we are charging through. We are over the halfway point. Well over the halfway point. Even though we aren't. If it makes sense. I don't know. Right, let's see. We need to get some action going. It looks like Van Hoften's slowly catching Spectre, and he could catch Davey as well here. He seems to be the man on the charge. The Bentleys must be doing pretty good because Dan's recovered to 16th, and Van Hoften, even though he's been in the wars a little bit, is up in 4th with the fastest lap. Should be a podium, I reckon. And we're basically what Van Hoften needs to do is overtake Spectre quickly, because Friedman is on an absolute charge at the moment. Now these two are the quickest on track, number 4 and number 5, in the running order, but yeah, it'll be interesting to see what they do side by side. Very different experience levels. Friedman's been around for quite some time, just not in ALR, and DDK is fairly new to ACC by comparison, but has bags of pace. You wouldn't think it. Here comes Van Hoften. The gap is now just 0.4 of a second with 11 laps gone. And he's starting to lose a bit of time to Davey. He's only 2.1 ahead at the moment. And here comes Morrow on Regnix. And there's Peter about to get out of the way for his championship rival. Regnix just ahead. Well, actually, looks like Peter's started to put the foot down a little bit. Meanwhile, Van Hoften will be looking at his rear mirrors after every corner and seeing a car getting bigger and bigger because the gap is now only 1.2 to Friedman, and he's not been able to even have a look at Spectre yet. Two Dutchmen battling for P3. Oh, he's just so good round Maggots and Beckett. Oh, that's not Maggots and Beckett. He's just good around these sweeping corners, I think. He can bring so much more speed, and he gets really close to the cars in front. So close that he has to back off, and now Friedman's right on his tail. The gap between Andy and Friedman, by the way, 2, 3, 4, 5 seconds. With 35 minutes to go and a pit stop sequence. I think this is going one way. I think the stoppage, the red flag, has swung this race in Friedman's favour massively. Huge gap, by the way, between Friedman and Reg. Reg struggled to keep up with the top 5 previously and has struggled to keep up with this top 5 as well. Reg actually only just ahead of Morrow at the moment as they are lapping a car. Morrow and Reg, actually, there we go. It looks like Morrow's just got the overtake done. So that's up to P6 for Morrow. A lap up on his title rival. Isn't he? Where's Peter? Yep, he is indeed, because Peter's all the way down behind Cabras. So the top 10 he's had to get out of the way for now. That's 10 times lifting. Here we go. Friedman really putting pressure on Van Hol right now. Let's see what he can do. Van Hoften, sorry. We got a Van Hol, he's further down. Yeah, the mistakes started to creep in for both of them, going really wide on the exit of that corner, losing a bit of time to Spectre now as well, who they've both got the pace on. Friedman now with the fastest lap. He's taken it off Van Hoften. Fitter and Steenstra in the pits as well. Oh, here we go. A bit of really good traction on the exit there from Friedman. Van Hoften's going to block him, cut him off. And it's going to be who goes round this corner better. It looks like both of them got a pretty decent exit. Friedman's still there. He might think about chucking it in. We've seen him do it before in this race. Can't do it this time around. Really good corner there from Van Hoften. Keeps the position for now. Meanwhile, Andy just rounding the final corner. Just ahead. He's put a lap on this number 30. Well, the car in 30th place. Who Davey's about to lap. That is Alex. He gets out of the way of him and also of Spectre as well. And Andy's come into the pits. Andy has come into the pits. Now, I'm wondering, well, I don't think it's worth changing tyres, personally. You need to get a bit of a lead, surely. Friedman is ahead of Van Hoften, by the way. So he's managed to get past him. So the gap between Van Hoften and Davey now in P1 is, what, like, not even 3 seconds. So yeah, it's looking ominous, guys. Stop go for car number 26. Who's that? That is Oliver. We've seen him do that loads this season. Can't generate any excitement for that one. Come on, lad. How many races have you been in? I know it's wet, but you have to be careful coming into the pits. Meanwhile, the battle for P1 is super close all of a sudden. Davey seems to be losing a bit of time now. Spectre all of a sudden coming on fire. If he can get past Davey, this is going to really help him out here. Let's see where Andy Winters has come out as well. So he's just come out of the pits now. He's got loads of clear air. So this has worked out absolutely perfectly for Andy. I'm not sure if he changed his tyres or not. Yeah, we'll have to see. But yeah, back at the front. Looks like Davies created a little gap. And then we got Spectre. Then we got Friedman right behind. Then we got Van Hoften right behind. And then a little bit of a gap tomorrow, who is just ahead of Reg. So he's got past Reg. And then Mate's still in there. Scanlon as well. Loads of cars getting out of the way for being lapped now. So really difficult portion of the race for these guys. So let's see, is anyone going to come into the pits? It looks like Spectre is coming in. Friedman's carrying on. Van Hoften's going to carry on as well. So it'll be really interesting to see where Spectre comes out in relation to Andy. Andy should have a nice undercut because he's had all that clear air coming out of the pits. Halfway through, well, half-hour mark left. Morrow carried on, Reg carried on. I think everyone else has carried on, actually. Capel down in P11, but quite a way back off the back and forth, so 5 seconds back. All these cars are still carrying on, none of them coming into the pits. Really interesting to see. Here's Andy, so we'll stick with him as he comes. Well, he's got a little bit left of this lap, actually. The highest driver to have made his pit stop by far. Actually found a lovely gap to slot himself into. Now the question is, has he changed his tyres or not? And that might be an indication of where he comes out in relation to Spectre. Spectre still showing as being in the pits. He's coming out of the pits now. And here comes Andy around the start-finish line. Spectre out of the pits as well. It's going to be pretty close between these two. Looks like Spectre's actually ahead of Andy. That's pretty phenomenal stuff for Spectre. He's managed to get an overcut on Andy. And I wonder if he actually didn't put on tyres. I have no idea. But whatever Andy did on that outlap, it absolutely wasn't enough. There's a bit of a gap between him and Spectre. Probably 2 or 3 seconds. Let's wait and see what happens at this sector line. Just approaching it now. So, 2.3 is the gap between them. So all of a sudden it's not looking too good for Andy. Davey, meanwhile, is just ahead of Friedman. They're coming around the final corner now, so it'll be interesting to see if either of these come into the pits. I wonder if Davey is going to be holding up Friedman or not. Both of them look like they're carrying on again. So this could be good news for Spectre. Spectre might actually win this race. If these two start battling, Spectre could get a huge undercut on these guys. And the thing is, Spectre and Andy actually need to work together here. If Andy catches up to Spectre, which I don't think he will, but if he does catch up to him and they start battling, then it's absolutely curtains between these guys. Been waiting a little while to see a nice battle between Davey and our newest challenger. Davey will be in a much faster car next season, I'm sure of it, and I think these two could potentially have a lot of battles for race wins. Here he comes, a much better exit there for Friedman, and he can't stick a nose in. Davey, one of the most experienced drivers at ALR, used to driving under pressure and putting other drivers under pressure as well. Friedman trying to distract him. I don't think that's going to work on Davey. I think it would have easily worked on some of the less experienced drivers on the grid. Here we go. Davey a bit wide through that corner, but actually helps him because he gets the inside line for the next two corners. Not much Friedman can do there. We know Friedman loves an overtake at this part of the track specifically. He's really good there. He actually had to back out a little bit because he nearly collected Davey because he was so early on the power. That's going to penalise him all the way down this straight, which again is great for Davey. Now, is this going to be the lap that they come in, or will they come in another? If I was Friedman, I'd kind of want to do the opposite. Davey's coming in, so he's releasing Friedman, who's going to probably, at this point, go for a very long overcut. Got the number 26 car going very slow on track. Oliver, something's happened to him. Where's Peter in all this, by the way? Peter is down in 23rd. He's actually 2 laps off the lead of the race, so something's extra must have happened to him to be that far down. So not doing too good for him. Spectre, meanwhile, he's getting caught by Andy. The gap's 1.5 seconds. And we're going to have to stay with him to see where he comes out in relation to Davey. And Van Hoften only was 1.8 behind. And Morrow and Reg were 4 seconds behind Van Hoften as well. So we don't know if the undercut is actually better because Spectre came out comfortably ahead of Andy. So the same could potentially happen for Davey. Davey's already on his way out of the pits here. He might have a huge lead over Spectre. It's a very slow exit of the pit lane. But they've still not... They've just come out of the final corner now. This might be a comfortable race lead for Davey. The overcut seems to be working an absolute treat for everybody. He's comfortable in P1. It looks like Van Hoften is going to be a net P2. Potentially. Nope, there goes Spectre. Spectre has taken him. And there's... it's difficult to see who everyone is. I think there's a lapped car stuck in there as well. So Van Hoften 7th. Morrow is at the back of these guys. I think he is behind Spectre. We need these guys to go through the split. Spectre's in net P2 after the pits. And we're about to see where everyone else is shuffled into. There he goes. Spectre net P2, Van Hoften net P3, Andy Winters has dropped from 1st to at least 4th. I think he's going to lose that position to Friedman as well. Davey's got a 9-second lead on Spectre. That's absolutely insane. And we've got Morrow up in the mix, got Cabras as well. Still doing pretty well. He's actually gained a position on Mate there, so I don't know. Mate's had a slow pit stop as well. Some of these guys definitely haven't changed their tyres. I have a feeling Davey's not changed his tyres. He's got an absolutely huge lead over Spectre. And Spectre and Andy were going very similarly on pace. So there's no reason why he should have gained all that time. Unless these new tyres are just absolutely crap when they put them on. Spectre seems to be dropping Van Hoften. Van Hoften's got Andy in his wing mirrors. Andy having to do some overtakes now if he even wants to get on the podium. So it's changed pretty quickly. Yeah, this battle for P7 is going to be pretty tight. Oh, really deep there for Van Hoften. That's going to potentially open the door for Andy as well. Nope. Pretty much as you were. Morrow lurking in the background as well. So Morrow has managed to catch up to Van Hoften. Van Hoften had more pace in that stint, and Morrow's gained it all in the pit sequence. Let's see what's going on a bit further down. Chaos is actually class leader, but he hasn't made his pit stop yet. Pretty clever to stay out a bit longer, I think. Bayliss is working his way in the top 20, as has Popov, who is just sliding his way around the final corner. At the top 5 are still out though. It's the usual suspects you'd expect to go long. So Friedman, end of lap 17, is he going to think about doing the last 20 after his pit stop, or is he going to continue? He's got a couple of lapped cars coming, and that might be why he's coming into the pits now. The current P2, Regnick's 14 seconds behind Friedman. He's carrying on. Our new race leader is going to be Reg. Scanlon boxing. Forza going long, and Capel, we saw him go long and take the lead in the previous round, and he might be trying to do that, but he's got some competition here. And then we got Davey. Davey's some way back. He's got a huge lead. He's 10 seconds now on Spectre. So he's definitely lapping as fast as he humanly can. Is it going to be enough to be in the lead of this race? Friedman's gone green. That means he's just leaving his pit box now. There's Friedman just leaving. Andy's Davies crossed the start-finish line. I think it's advantage Davey. Davey's got that position. It's going to be a comfortable P1 at least to begin with for Davey. So really, really good undercut there for Davey. The only person managing to get an undercut again makes me think he might be one of the only drivers to have not changed his tyres. Absolutely on fire. He's not been on the top step of the podium at all. I know, I think he's won one race this season. Can't fully remember. So this would be a lovely end to his season if he can do it as Cabras gets out the way for Friedman. It's going to be one hell of a battle between these two towards the end. The gap now is 3 seconds. Davey's got to weather this and 3 seconds for the next 20 minutes of the race. Then we've got a huge battle for what will end up being P3. Spectre currently at the head of quite a long battle, so we'll keep an eye on the timings between Weatherson and Friedman, but let's stick with this for a little bit. Van Hoften fancying a podium. That would be his first in ALR. Yeah, Rotikos is doing pretty well. I think he was doing better before, because once he makes his pit stop, he's going to be out of the top 20. So maybe he's made a mistake or two on this restart. Whoa! That's not the corner, mate. Never mind. That is down to... Oh no! Oh no! Oh no! Oh my god. I shouldn't laugh. It is funny though. So, yeah, Van Hoften down into P10, lost loads of time there, and also cost Scanlon probably about 5+ seconds by spinning him out on the following corner. Yeah, complete unforced errors there by Van Hoften, and he's no longer in the hunt for a podium. Meanwhile, the race for what is going to be net P1 is down to 1.3 seconds. It looks like either Friedman's on a complete charge or Davies making a couple of mistakes. He looked a little bit out of position there on the exit of one of those corners. And the pressure is actually going to be ramping up pretty quickly. It's only been 2 minutes since I said he had a 3-second gap, and it's already down to 1.3. Make that still 1.3. Reg is saying he's just come out of the pits. He's not actually in net P3. Spectre is quite comfortably in third at the moment. Andy is in P4 after Van Hoff went off, and Morrow is net P5. Regnick slotting back out in 6th place with a bit of a gap in front and behind him, so fairly comfortable for Reg for this last 17 minutes. Morrow and Winters were the top 2 in qualifying, and they're currently battling for P6, and it's not going to be P6 anymore. Morrow off track, and yeah, that's going to be a good 3 or 4 seconds that he's lost as well. Scanlon and Van Hoften pretty close together on track. Van Hoften, we know, has the pace, but he's just spun Scanlon, so maybe he's not going to be in a rush to try and get an overtake done. Oh, this exact same corner. Van Hoften struggling again. Manages to get it turned into the corner this time. Wide again on the exit. Really struggling here. Cabras might fancy a position now as well. Let's go back to the front because the gap has reduced down to 0.8 of a second now. So the easy part is catching. The hard part is getting an overtake done on the double champion. Forster and Capel still out. Forster is the leader of the race, by the way, on his return. Capel probably desperate for me to tell him that he is the leader of the race. So if he stays out, I'm just going to completely ignore that so that he doesn't get that satisfaction again. Because he got it last week and he clipped it. Don't want that again. Anyway, through Baggett and Beckett's, Friedman did look a little bit more comfortable. They're coming up to a lapped car now as well. The gap's 0.7 of a second. Looks like it's a little bit smaller than that. Down to 0.4. It's still nowhere near enough for Friedman to have a go. He needs basically Davey to make a mistake somewhere. Really wide there for Friedman. Surely that would have been a warning, right? He looked like he was gaining time. Oh, deep there from Weatherston. Nearly opened the door for Friedman. Friedman stayed tight and Weatherston went a little bit wide. Weatherston already thinking about protecting the inside. He doesn't. He stays on the outside. Friedman can't get alongside and Weatherston keeps the position. But like I said, under intense pressure, still 0.4 of a second ahead of Friedman at the moment. Needs to really have a tidy next couple of corners because this is where Friedman feels at his most confident. Look at that exit there for Friedman. He actually has to really back out of the throttle to avoid rear-ending Weatherston, but he's got away with it and he's still incredibly close to Weatherston. Weatherston's probably going to have to go defensive on this straight if he wants to keep the position. And it's still enough in the Honda to keep it. Really cut that corner, did Weatherston. And he's starting to take a little bit more of the curbs. He's starting to feel a bit more comfortable doing that. Not seeing many drivers taking the curbs. A little bit of a wider exit there for Friedman. Give him a bit of a launch as we finish lap 21. Down into Copse. He's still not close enough to get a move done, but any slight mistake and he could pop his car right in that position. Oh, like this, Weatherston's wide. This might open the door for Friedman. No, he's managed to get away with that one, actually. Again, potentially a warning on the system there for Weatherston. You're allowed a certain number of warnings before you get a drive-through penalty. No one seems to have fallen foul of that just yet. Here we go. The gap is incredibly small once again. It'll be about 0.4 of a second, I reckon. 0.3 this time. Still not close enough to get a move done. Really tight entry there for Friedman. It's going to affect his exit and give Weatherston a little bit of breathing space. And they're coming up to lapped cars now as well. This is going to be a little bit hairy for Weatherston. He has to negotiate this pretty well. Bad news for Weatherston is he's the one that's going to get held up. And these cars are going to get completely out of the way for Friedman. Again, very deep on the exit there. This time for Weatherston. and he's keeping that position. Like I said, this is the part of the track where Friedman's got all of his overtakes done. So watch out for him getting a great exit on this next corner. Oh, he's actually going for it. He's sticking it in. There's contact between them. And, oh, they both survive somehow. Weatherston keeps the position. It's not over yet. 12 minutes left for Weatherston to weather the storm. Can he do it? That is the question. Friedman going for 3 for 3 in races in a row. Weatherston trying to get his first race for bloody ages. He lost his top position in the ALR rankings as well with his DNF last week. Dropped all the way down to 6th. Actually, the guy in P1 in the ALR rankings is only 9th today, so I doubt he's going to be staying there. Scanlon. Not the worst performance, but again, you need to be right at the top if you want to keep yourself at the top. Number 22 is the next car that they're going to be lapping. That is Major. Where's Peter? Peter's only 20th, by the way. Little championship update. I think we all know it's pretty much over, and this is the more exciting thing to focus on now, unless Morrow has an absolute nightmare. He's in P7. That's going to become P5 when Forcer and Capel pit. Here they come. There's Major. He's going to get out of the way. Is he? He's giving me... I don't know what he's up to. He's trying to minimise the time loss just by going wide into this corner. He's actually going to slot in between the two of them. Actually, no, he thinks better of it. Half a second still separates them. Friedman's really good at following. He doesn't drop basically more than half a second away at any point, which is what you need to do if you're going to be one of those cars that capitalizes on the mistakes of others. So again, this is the corner where Friedman likes a brave move, but Fracas getting out of the way there really well actually helps Davey slightly. And again, we're going to see Friedman try and get a really good exit here, really early on the power. A little bit of glitching going on. I hope we're not going to see another lobby crash. Here he is. Here he comes anyway. 0.2 of a second separated them at the last split. Friedman might think about going really late. He still can't do it. Weatherston is the last of the late breakers, improving it again there. Only 10 minutes left more for Davey to weather the storm. The question is, can he do it? He's not put a major foot wrong yet, but he's under a lot of pressure here, down into Copse. He might be side by side. He needs to think about going defensive here. He cannot let Friedman get alongside here, or it's curtains. They are a little bit alongside, and are they going to make it around Copse? Both of them do. Davey goes a little bit deep, and what's going to happen now? They are still side by side. It looks like Friedman's actually got his nose in front, and he's got the position. And that might be game, set, and match, guys. The mistake there was Davey not protecting the inside. If he'd protected the inside, he would have comfortably still been P1 now, as long as he nailed Copse and didn't go wide. But if it would have been Friedman who probably went wide. And yeah, it's going to be tough for Davey to stick with Friedman now. Friedman seems to have all of the pace. And he's the net race leader. It says he's third. Top two are about to pit anytime soon. Let's have a little look further down and see what is going on. Spectre net P3, currently 3 seconds ahead of Andy, so he's completely dropped Andy. Andy not showing such good pace since he lost his positions through the pit sequence. Morrow in net P5. You got Regnix, Van Hoften dropped down a little bit, Cabras. And then we got Scanlon just behind Cabras, so Scanlon dropping a few positions. Then we got Mate down in 12th. He's in absolute no man's land. 19 seconds off the back of Scanlon, so he's been in the wars somewhere. But still, P12, that's pretty decent on your debut. Steenstra 13th, Weston 14th. Great drive for Paris on this restart. Remember, he started 32nd. I'm pretty sure he was multiple laps down. Obviously, this is red flag conditions, so I highly doubt that he's going to have those laps added at the end of the race. Dandes is class leader, obviously, for bronze. And fifth, we're not doing too good. Anyone else? Peter down in 19th after he was getting lapped by loads of people. He's about to get lapped again. This time it's going to be Capale who's going to lap him. Wow. You don't want to be lapped by Capale. And then we've got a nice little battle for P2 in bronze. That is Major, just behind Fracas, letting a Ferrari through. That is the 5th place driver. That's Spectre putting a lap on him. So is Spectre going to be able to get past Fracas? And then what's going to happen between Fracas and Major? Because Major could capitalise on this pretty well. But we're going through Magnus and Beck. It's not the best overtaking spot. Even if you're just getting out of the way to be lapped. Hangar straight is where you kind of want to do it. But by lifting off as little as possible... There's the number 6 car. There's Andy Winters catching up as well. So this traffic's helping out Andy a little bit here. Fracas going to get out of the way now into this corner. Now Fracas has to cut back in to keep his position on Major. It looked like Andy actually got a position on Major as well. So Andy has to negotiate his way past Fracas. And Fracas has to avoid Major getting too close. This is the perils of... it's like multi-tiered racing in a single lobby. You have to think about who you're battling on track, but you have to also get the hell out of the way of other people as well. Pretty tough. Ooh, very wide there for the car behind. And Fracas did pretty well there, gotta be said. So, what's going on? Someone's off track. Not sure what happened there. That is a lapped car. That is car number 15. Who's car number 15? That's Alex. Oh dear, look at that. Oh, huge, well, couple of holes there in that car. They don't belong there. So Spectre and Andy close again. We got Fracas and Major. Let's have a little look at this. Love to see a little bit of a battle. And Morrow's there trying to lap them both as well. Fracas still ahead of Major. Major's going to have to get out of the way of Morrow now. And the battle is going to be called off very temporarily because Morrow's going to try and get past Fracas. Fracas' car's in the way. And it looks like it's going to work out pretty well again for Fracas with the lapping. So he's pretty skilled at letting cars past, is Fracas. Got plenty of practice over these 4 seasons, I suppose. Friedman's extended his gap at the top, by the way, to 2.6 seconds. So he's looking pretty comfortable at the moment. Actually, Morrow's a little bit in Fracas' way here. Major trying everything he can to get a move done on Fracas. And yeah, you can't, it's not going to work around there, is it? So a little bit of respite for Fracas. Let's see what's going on a little bit further up. Any close battles to see? Not really. Battle for P9. Forced to come out of the pits. And he is 1 spot ahead of Cabras, so he's in the top 10. Which means Capale will probably not be in the top 10. They probably went a little bit too long. There's Scanlon going really wide on the exit of that corner. Number 16, the yellow flags were up for. That's Danders. But let's stick with this little battle. Because Forster's under a lot of pressure here. I'm actually surprised. Oh, he got completely wrong. He might lose this position now to Cabras. Really good overtake by Cabras. Scanlon's going to try and join him. Ooh, the gaps were closing. Scanlon backs out of it. He's still there though. And it actually looks like Cabras was a bit slow on the acceleration because Forster's got a chance now of getting that position back. Car 27 off track now. That's Peter. Oh man, poor guy. What a way for your championship challenge to come to an end. Ah, you hate to see it. That's it, mate. So let's join right on board a little bit with our champion-elect tomorrow. He's in P6. He's probably going to become P5 when Capel comes out of the pits. So it's going to be a solid day at the office. I'd give it a 7.5 out of 10. Because he definitely could have been on the podium, but there's been some issues. 2 of those points were lost because of that one incident that he had with Van Often. And the other half is for everything else all rolled into one. But makes up for it with really, really solid pace today. Potentially the start of the second half of the season, which is why he is right at the top at the end of this season in the standings. Double points race as well, obviously. Capel has come out. It looks like he's out in 11th place. He's going to miss out on a top 10 here. Some gaps forming in this little battle now that Cabras has got past Forza. Forza's got a chance of catching Andy if he fancies a P4. He's not actually that far away from Davey, to be honest. Apart from Friedman, who's just miles ahead at this point. Everyone else has stayed pretty close. See what's happening a little bit further down. So, Chaos still hasn't made his mandatory pit stop, but he's down in 29th. It's interesting. Popov Erotikos is 24th now. Maybe he'd have wanted a top 20 on his debut. Leaders on his final lap, by the way. So we actually got through this hour pretty quickly. There's been loads going on. Fracas and Major still incredibly close together. There's Major getting out of the way of another driver who's lapping him. There he goes. That is Van Often lapping him now. It looks like he's going to stay ahead of Major. Major's going to get lapped himself. No, he's not. That's a move for position. Cabras challenging Major. Major keeping the position through Cops. And all of a sudden, he might be losing a position instead of trying to get into the top 20 himself. And he has lost it. Wide on Cops. Lost, well, went on the slippery stuff. And yeah, from P33 to P21 for Cabras. So this is, yeah, you could call that a triumph, I think. Anyway, let's join for the last couple of sectors of the race. The man who has done last to first in 2 out of the last 3 races. Obviously aided a little bit by the red flag. I think he was more than 5 seconds off the lead when that red flag came out. He'd have had to do a little bit better in terms of his pace if he was going to win this without that lobby glitch. But you have to work with what you're given. And he's done well, basically not put a single foot wrong all race. Really careful at when to choose his battles to get his overtakes done, and executed them all pretty well, despite some really good defending from some of these guys. Gotta give credit to them. Davey held him off as long as he humanly could, but in the end, Friedman got past and he's just stormed to, it might end up being 7-second lead by the end of this race. One to watch for next season. He is a reserve at the moment. I have a feeling it's not going to stay that long, stay like that for long. Potential championship contender next season, rounding the final corner to take victory at Silverstone in this 1.5 hour race. It is Friedman. Following him is a really solid result again for Davey. P2 for him. Then Spectre, a podium on his return to ALR. Finally, a really solid result for him. Andy should have won, ended up P4 just ahead of Morrow in P5. Great result for all those guys. Those were the 5 that had unreal pace today. Regnick's a really solid P6. Van Hoften, another one who probably should have been on the podium. 7th in the end for him. Class winner for Silver is Cabras. Solid result to end the season. Not going to be able to be champion of Silver. Forza 9th, Scanlon 10th, Capel 11th. We've got a bit of a gap back to Mate in 12th position now. Solid debut for Mate in 12th. Steenstra is going to be P13. Again, we saw him in the walls a little bit at times. There we go. And then Weston Bit of an up and down season for Weston. He's going to end up P14. Drivers are starting to leave already. Paris P15. Fitterer is going to be your silver champion in 16th place today. Just one position ahead of Dandes, who is our bronze champion. So huge congrats tomorrow to Fitterer and to Dandes. They are our champions of season 4 of our ACC. And then I think that was Tierney. Oh no, Tierney's still going. Him, Oliver, and Maurer are going to be the last 3 to cross the finish line. There they come, and here is Maurer down in 25th. So another season done there. Really great few races that we've had there. Some really good overtaking, especially at tracks where you wouldn't think it was possible. But this one was probably the best of the lot. Huge congratulations to Morrow on his maiden victory in ALR in terms of winning championships. First of many, maybe. So yeah, that's it from me. That is our last ACC race of 2024. But we are about to start our next GT7 season on Monday. So loads to look out for. Esports starts on Sunday in Brands Hatch. Me and Pyro are going to be doing a pre-season review of the cars and the teams that everyone's gone with this season, and giving our predictions based on that as well. So yeah, it's going to be interesting. And then on Monday, we've got live Tier 1 at Catalonia. And then all the rest of the tiers are going to be post race commentary. I'll be doing tier 3 again this season. So yeah, keep an eye out for them. And yeah, thanks for watching.